This is the story of Matariki. And it all starts with the OG gods, Ranginui and Papatuanuku, our Earth Mother and Sky Father, who have been held together in an unbreakable bond of darkness since forever. Till one day, their sons made a plan to separate them and bring light and life to the world.
I said leave them!
Well, except for Tawhimata, the god of winds and storms. He didn't actually want to separate his parents and tried to stop them.
You don't want to do this! You don't want to do it!
But his brothers didn't listen and carried on with their plan. And so Tane, the god of the forest, got to work, squeezing in between his parents in an effort to yank them apart. And with one almighty push, boom! Rangi and Papa were separated. But this made Tawhiri angry. So angry, in fact, that he ripped out his eyes, crushed them in his hands, and threw them up into the heavens. So that every time his brothers looked up into the sky, they'll see his eyes looking down on them as a reminder of what they've done. Ngā mata o te ariki, Tawhiri Mātea, known as Matariki.
Alright, kia ora e hoa. Thank you for your question. Do I own any Māori weapons and can I showcase them? So I own 2 Māori weapons, so let's check them out. So in terms of the most common Māori weaponry, number 1 would probably be the taiaha. Now unfortunately I do not own a taiaha yet, but I do have the next in line, the patu. So as you can see, the patu is a short, one-handed close combat weapon. This one here is made out of whalebone and it was carved by Rangi Kipa. This would traditionally be used to either finish off an opponent once you had already bested them in combat with your taiaha, or for those who were very, very skilled close combat warriors. So now for a bit more of a specialist weapon, we have the tefa tefa. Now this one here, carved by Tane Matiu here in Whangarei. Now the tefa tefa was used by the chiefs or the leader of the war party to actually signal the soldiers. So this big bit on the end here wasn't actually used for fighting with, it was used for getting your attention in the madness that is war. So that's the tefa tefa.
Are you ready for your daily phrase in Te Reo Māori? Kia ora koutou, my name is Parker and welcome to our daily Māori language sessions. Over the next 2 weeks I'll be posting a video every 2 days with common phrases and sentences in Te Reo Māori. To really give this a good go, I encourage you to go to my page and check out the Te Reo Māori playlist. Alright, let's get into it. So off the bat we're going to get into intros and greetings and we've got 2 to cover. The first is kia ora. Kia ora literally translates to be well, but it can be used to say hello amongst a few other things. So let's break that down. The first part is kia, ki-a, kia. The second part is ora, o-ra, ora. Now when someone greets you with kia ora, you can respond with kia ora. And the second one is tēnā koe. Tēnā koe is literally saying that's you or there you are. And same again, if someone greets you with tēnā koe, you can respond with tēnā koe or kia ora. Follow, like, comment and share for more.
Do you want to know what I find really sad yet really ironic about Matariki and the way it's been taught to us? stars. Okay, so believe it or not, the Matariki that we've been taught about is actually a colonized version of what Matariki actually is. We commonly get told that it's Matariki and the Seven Star Sisters, when in reality, there's actually 9 stars. The Seven Star Sisters is actually a really old Greek myth, and we actually forget about 2 extra stars. But the main star that really caught my interest was Hohotukawa, because this star is about the one thing that we commonly forget about, and the star itself has been forgotten about. Hohotukawa is the star that cradles the memories of those who have passed on, and I just think that is so sad. So since this is the first Matariki to be recognized as a public holiday, I think it's time we remember her, because I think she's very important.
This is a work of art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. But this is bullshit.
Who'd actually want to be Māori? Tiff. Kia ora, my bro. Thanks for your message. First of all, I just want to applaud you. You actually used the tohutoa on Māori. Ka rawe, my bro. Second of all, with that attitude, you'd be lucky to even get a look in. Cheer up, my bro. It's all gonna be okay. Muri ora.
Aotearoa, check out our menu. Tipa, scallops. Rawa fry, fried bread. Inanga, white bean. Kutai, mussels. Kora, crayfish. Pawa. Patiki, flounder. Like and follow, whānau.
Jokes aside, why is New Zealand called New Zealand, and is there an Old Zealand? Well, the indigenous name for the country in the Maori language is Aotearoa. It wasn't until the 1600s when the Dutch arrived and started calling it Stettenland. And in the same century, that was later changed to Nova Zealandia, which was anglicised to become New Zealand. So then where's Old Zealand? Well, to no surprise, it's in the Netherlands. And its name, Zeeland, simply means sea land. Honestly, I prefer the name Aotearoa. Sounds so cool.
And those wondering what Aotearoa actually means, it translates to the land of the long white cloud. For those who didn't know, there's actually a petition at the moment to make Aotearoa an official name of this country. So if you have a spare minute, please go and sign that petition. I'll leave the link in the comment section. And the beautiful thing is you don't even have to live here or be a citizen of this country. We just need numbers. So if you have a spare minute, which I'm sure you do, please go sign that petition and help make Aotearoa an official name of this country. Mori ora.
Say 2, step 1, back windmill. Step 2, right hip. Step 3, left hip. Step 4, flat stick. Step 5, flip stick back. Repeat twice, then pukana. Let's go.
Kia ora rā e hoa mā, nau mai hoki mai ki te whārangi nei. I'm just going to have a jam on this porotiti while we have a bit of a kōrero. Apologies, I'm a bit Ngāti Tūreiti on this one, but I actually just realised we've hit over 1,000 followers, which is, whew, that's me haro as. Yeah, we're reaching hapu size at this point, which honestly the main goal of the whārangi is just to, you know, spread the message about the puoroa and bring you fellas along with me, my learnings, and yeah, this journey into the realm of Hine Raukatauri. So hopefully you've learned something. I definitely have, and yeah, we'll keep it up on the TikToki if you fellas are enjoying it. Ngā mihi nunui e tai mā.
This is things that make you go, the Maori of New Zealand. If you're from New Zealand, then you already know most things about the Maori, but if you're not, let's learn about them. So the Maori were the first people to settle in New Zealand. Do you know that before the Europeans settled in New Zealand, the Maori actually had no written language? They would pass down their histories through oral stories, or they would depict the history in carvings. And do you know that every tattoo is unique? The ta'amoko is the art of tattooing in the Maori culture. And these tattoos are unique because they hold the knowledge, genealogy, and the status of that person in the tribe. Do you know the haka is not just a war dance? I mean, it can be, but it's used for all sorts of different occasions like funerals to motivation for the tribe. And their traditional greeting is not a handshake, but it's the pressing of your forehead and your noses together. Beautiful culture.
Cruising down the highway 35.
I just finished watching the new Thor movie with a bunch of my mates, and I've been crying for hours because of how significant the scenes were in the movie. And if you're not Māori, you won't appreciate the significance of representation. And to Taika, if you're watching this TikTok, thank you for what you know exactly what you did. Thank you. My friends might not understand the significance, but I do, and I appreciate it. So that's why I'm going to use this sound to make another video. People are going to cry. People are going to feel wholesome. It's going to be great. Okay, good night.
Kia ora. I've been looking forward to this question. Love talking about food. So the main one that comes to mind is a way of cooking that we call the hangi. So let's break that down. So because Māori like to gather in such large groups, the hangi was a way of cooking a lot of food for a lot of people at once. So basically it's a giant underground oven, and you dig this pit called an umu, you heat up these volcanic rocks, you put those at the bottom, then you lay all your food on top of that, your like meat and your vegetables, then you put the dirt right back on top and you let it cook all day. And then when you dig it all up, it's cooked, it's all smoky, it's earthy, it's delicious. If you ever come to New Zealand, it's one of the things you have to try.
I don't want to be a bitch, but you guys are really boring.
Kia ora, yeah, so this commenter is referring to this picture here of a wall covered in moko mokai. Moko mokai are the preserved heads of Maori people that wore facial moko. As you can see, the mataora, the men's facial moko, is still very visible here on this moko mokai. So these became very, very valuable and were traded for muskets and the like during the musket wars in the 19th century between British and Maori. Moko mokai was actually one of the factors as to why mataora, men's facial moko, was nearly eradicated and made extinct as a practice. Because of the value that these heads held, what started happening was people who wore mataora were being hunted down and killed so that they could have their heads preserved and traded to the European settlers. So to protect themselves and their families, they stopped getting facial moko so that they didn't get their head chopped off. Tragic stories.
And so the values for Matariki are the same as Puanga. We decided was number one, to remember those who have passed in the last year. Number one. Number two, to celebrate the present with feasting and coming together. And the last thing was to plan for the future. And the whole thing's underpinned by collectivity, sharing, connecting with each other, aroha, and environmental practices, being environmentally aware, and ensuring that we look after our environment. So those were the values.
Are there any annual Māori holidays or traditions? Yep, so the three I'm going to share with you are Waitangi Day. This happens on the 6th of February every single year and marks the signing of Te Tiriti o Waitangi, or the Treaty of Waitangi, which was signed in 1840. The second is Matariki. Matariki signals the beginning of the Māori New Year. Last year it was made official with a public holiday, so this year on Friday the 24th of June will be the first year that we officially celebrate Matariki. And finally, He Wakaputanga, which celebrates the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which happened on the 28th of October 1835. Che.
Can't go hold me down. You can't tell me where fi do, where fi go, how fi dress. Me no papi show. Me a the star, so me a no fan of you. Do what me wanna follow you. Me nah itch up under no man.